I was told the IRS works with people more than they used to, but I don't understand where they got all the information on me. I haven't filed for a couple of years. Now we're getting to the issue here. And before that, I only showed income I thought they would know about, but they, that'd be the IRS, say I owe thousands and thousands. How do they know about income I never reported? How can I get out of this? I don't know what to do.
That's an interesting question and touches on a variety of issues. First of all, as far as the IRS knowing information about a taxpayer, where their sources of income are, anybody who pays somebody and issues a 1099 or a W-2, a copy of that 1099 or W-2 is going right to the IRS, so they know about that. Another way the IRS can find out about what type of income a taxpayer has is they can subpoena summons bank records, and the bank, if the person's depositing a lot of money into their checking account, the IRS is going to ask, where did this come from and why is it not reported as income on your tax return? The third way the IRS can determine how much money somebody's making is by doing something called an indirect audit, where the IRS figures out how much it costs the taxpayer to live in a year, and then they would attribute that amount of income to it. I had a case where the taxpayer was receiving hundreds of thousands of dollars from a multitude of countries into his personal account. And his argument, the IRS is like, well, how come you didn't report this hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars of income? His argument was, well, you know, I'm a foreign national but a resident of the United States, and my relatives are giving me their money because the United States is a safe place to park money, whereas many of the countries where the money came from were unstable, didn't have safe places to save money. And as it turned out, we've got declarations and evidence that this money came from different individuals that were related to this taxpayer from different countries, and we were able to actually defeat the assertion of additional income on this case. But what this taxpayer needs to do is make sure that the missing returns are filed, and as far as the assertion that the IRS is making that he made more money than it was reported, there's going to be an audit report. The IRS just can't make blind assertions. They write down why they believe more money was reported than showed up on the tax return. So when we find out how the IRS made that determination, we can go back and undo it if it's incorrect. If it is correct, well, then this taxpayer got caught not being honest on a tax return, and they're going to have to and they're going to owe the additional tax due.
Now, in a deal like that, a taxpayer can make the correction. You're not going to go to jail tomorrow for doing that. You know, and on the 1099 deal, I do a lot of freelance work, and I have bunches of clients that pay me a little bit of money here and there. I discovered that several of these clients weren't sending me a copy of the 1099, but they were sending it to the IRS. And in my case, fortunately, I would go ahead and report it. I was afraid not to. What about somebody that's got a variety of clients who are paying them, and even though you don't get that 1099, the IRS probably does?
Right. Well, first of all, you know, if the case is so egregious it could go criminal. Now, criminal prosecutions aren't common, but they do happen. So nobody should treat their tax obligations cavalierly. They should be serious about it. Secondly, when anybody signs a tax return, they're signing under the penalty of perjury. So in a case where somebody's doing work and getting paid but not receiving a 1099, they're still obligated to report that income on their tax return. And so even though they don't receive the 1099 and the IRS is receiving a copy from the employer, it's important that the books and records are kept in a sufficient way to actually account for that income. Because if it comes up and the IRS sees that it's a very egregious case, the IRS can take more aggressive action than just an audit or regular collection action, albeit those actions are rare.
So if I'm kind of an independent contractor, guy or girl, and I'm getting fees here and there and everywhere, I'm probably way better off to go ahead and report that and then expense it out however I expense it out, rather than try to make it go away.
Yeah, exactly. It's never advisable for a taxpayer to try and hide income from the IRS. That is illegal, and in some cases it could be criminal. The best thing, my philosophy and the philosophy of my office is, you know, we're operating on a glass table. We want to disclose everything to the IRS as far as income and expenses. Now, if we have a dispute with the IRS as to the classification of the income or the classification of expenses, then we'll have that dispute. But we haven't withheld any information from the IRS. And that's really the key in these types of situations. That taxpayers have to be very careful to be very honest with the IRS. Now, if something is a business expense or a personal expense or to the gray area, well, we can talk to the IRS about that. We can fight with the IRS about that. But we haven't committed any crimes.
Well, you know, and I know, Sam, that you deal with some cases that are in the millions and millions and millions, the big giant money deals. And even folks up in that heady atmosphere, they better report income.
Yeah, absolutely. And the larger a tax case gets, generally the higher risk there is to the tax case. It's important for taxpayers to understand that the IRS is operated, even though it's a large bureaucracy, is also operated like a business. And they understand that there's more value, there's more likelihood of collecting money from large dollar taxpayers than there is from smaller dollar taxpayers. That's why people who have large incomes get audited more than people who have small incomes.
So if the IRS looks at me and I owe them $5,000, I'm a small fish. If I owe them $500,000, I get their attention.
Right, you're no longer a small fish, and the IRS knows that. So they put more collection effort and more audit effort into large dollar taxpayers, and that just makes sense. That's the way the IRS should operate to be efficient.